Okay, so yesterday we discussed this process for image, how we can create invoice from image. So this invoice is created yesterday, so you can see if you open this invoice, you can see this attachment will automatically open.
Power on. You've plugged into Nirvana.
Okay. So you can see here. It's some echo I'm getting. Hello. Yeah. Okay, so this is invoice you can see here and review all the details. And if you want to correct anything, you can correct. If you want to see the distribution, click on usually you should get the edit button here. So edit distribution. Yes, if you click on that, you'll be able to see the item distribution. Usually here what we have created one distribution set. If you go to the all line, okay, you'll get tax line has been calculated automatically. Okay, so this tax configuration for this view, US business unit, so they have configured the tax end-to-end regime to rate configuration. Based on that, you will get the tax accounting also from the tax rate code. This is the tax line generated. Standard tax rate of there are two kind of rates. It is applied based on the tax rule. You can review it if you want to edit the tax line. You can edit. And the item line, it is coming from the distribution set they have created. This is the distribution set, contractor expenses, right? So contractor expenses, it's driving the distribution account. If you see here, so from that item description, they were able to capture the item distribution for ABC Consulting. And this is for manual invoice. You can do, or you can able to manually also enter the distribution line if it is incorrect. If it is blank also, if the IDR system not able to capture, you have to enter the line manually, a distribution line. But if it is a PO matched invoice, for PO matched invoice, you don't need to create invoice line. All the invoice line will be created from the PO information. Once you match the PO with your invoice, whatever PO line accounts and distribution account, based on that, your accrual account will be generated. Okay. So we created the standard invoice. PO based invoice creation is pending. We'll see that once we complete the PO configuration and inventory configuration. I'll cover that. Invoice creation via spreadsheet. So spreadsheet, there are two ways to upload invoice through spreadsheet. One is through FBDI. Yesterday I discussed that, right? There is another option if you want to quickly upload invoices, right? Because FBDI, there are two tabs, right? One for invoice header and one for invoice line, and you have to provide the invoice ID in both header and line. But if you want to create through spreadsheet, like this is very convenient and user friendly for business user. Just one step process. No need to run these 2-3 programs, interface program and other things. System will take care. So how we can create that? If you come to invoice dashboard and invoice tax panel, here you can see one option, create invoice from spreadsheet. Okay. Create invoice from spreadsheet. If you click on that, the system will ask you to connecting to the server. So the user will provide the login information so that it will establish one connectivity between your ADFDI sheet and the Oracle environment. So then you can provide your information. Like for example, here I'll select Tata Business Unit. Okay. Import set. You can give some data import set, for example, invoice number, data invoice date, invoice currency, USD, right? Invoice amount, 125, for example. Invoice date, March 17, 2024. Supplier. The supplier is Tata supplier, right? Supplier number also mandatory here. So we need to ensure that we are providing correct supplier. Requirement, supplier, Tata supplier, the number is supplier number is 10014. Supplier site. So you have to provide the site name. What is the site? Data address. Payment currency also USD. Okay. So that should be fine. The minimum information, what are the mandatory details you have to provide here? Invoice type is standard. Okay. Based on that, whether you are uploading credit memo or debit memo. Okay. If you want any purchase order information, right? If you know that there is a purchase order linked to this item, sorry, this invoice, you have to provide the PO details. But currently, as we don't have any purchase order, it's not a PO matched invoice. So we are not giving any information. Multi-period accounting. No, we are not using this. There is no tax information to upload it. Create invoice. Save and submit the invoice import. Okay. Business unit. Our is Tata business unit, right? You can search it here. Data. Okay. Submit. Request ID. So this ATPDI process will automatically, it will trigger the invoice import process, right? You can verify the currently the row status is inserted. That means it's successful. You can see it here. Search for the invoice. This is the request ID. If you want to see the detail. So ours is Tata invoice 8, right? Which one? What is the invoice number? Tata INB. Okay. It's created, right? It's very easy to upload. Mass invoice upload. Okay. So
do we have to post this after? creation? Do we have to?
No, it will not create any posting program, but you have to validate. Validation, you have to do it manually because you have to review and approval process. It will start after that. It will just create your invoice and all the details. Distribution also, I think it will create or not create based on your. Let me check. So distribution it is not creating, so you have to create that distribution because we have not provided any distribution detail. And tax also you have not provided, that's why tax line also not created. Okay, so here you can provide the distribution. With the distribution combination, you can upload here if you want. So it will upload and create your item distribution also, but I have not mentioned any distribution, that's why it was blank. Invoice group.
अभी नींद से उठले गिरिया ने गिरा लाइक टग मगाइता है अभी.
Yeah, can you mute yourself? Okay. So in this way, you can create invoice through spreadsheet. This is also regularly used by business user. So they can validate, invoice is validated. Now you can go for payment. Okay.
What is the calculate tax option when we
calculate tax option is if you have the tax configuration, right? Like for this business unit, you have all the tax regime setup, tax code setup, tax rate setups, and you have all the tax rule and criteria. So system, what it will do, if you validate the invoice, under validation, the tax will be calculated automatically. Otherwise, before validation, you can use this option calculate tax to calculate the tax. So when like the invoice is never validated, you want to review the tax line and tax rate calculated. So what it will do? The system will calculate and create the tax line. And you can review the whatever tax imposed by the supplier, and then you can validate. If you directly click on validation, simultaneously the tax will be calculated and invoice will be validated. This is the extra option provided for the user.
Okay, just in case the supplier sends tax and we want to validate, then we use that option.
Yeah, correct. If you want to validate, see, system will once you validate anyway, system will calculate tax, whether you calculate or not manually. So this option is just an extra option before validation. If you want to use and you want to modify something, right? So you can calculate the tax and tax line will be created. If you don't use this button and directly you click on validate, then system will calculate the tax automatically. So, and after that, the tax will be generated.
And also I see an option called delete invoice. So that could happen before validation or after?
No, before validation, you can delete.
Okay.
And if you have accounted the invoice, validated, you can cancel the invoice. There is no issue. but after if you have made the payment and you want to cancel, you cannot cancel, but first you have to void the payment and then you can cancel. For cancellation,
so
we have.
The cancellation process can happen after the invoice is validated. Also.
Yeah, you can cancel. So cancellation, there are two options. Either you can entirely cancel the invoice header so that all the lines associated with the invoice will be cancelled. Otherwise, you don't want to cancel the invoice, but specific line. For example, one invoice has 10 invoice line. And out of that, you want to cancel only 4 invoice line. So you can come here and you can cancel the invoice line. Okay, that is also possible. Like you don't want to cancel the entire invoice because see, invoice cancellation. Yeah, tell me.
Yes, sir. Where we can cancel the header level invoice?
Header level here, na? Cancel invoice.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Because again, if you cancel the complete invoice, you have to create again the invoice and go for approval process. Everything, right? Then we have other different options like apply or online prepayment approval. So if you have enabled the invoice approval, it will go for approval. You can see here the approval and notification hierarchy. And then after all the action has been completed, manage hold if there is any hold. So currently these are all non-PO invoice, right? For example, if you made it mandatory that any invoice is coming, it should be matched with a PO. How can I do that? I will save it. So now, for example, I'll go to setup and maintenance. Financial. Hold unmatched invoice, right? That means all here, if you check this box, that means your let me disable this. Yeah. So hold unmatched invoice means any invoice if they are created directly without matching with a PO. So it will create a PO match hold. So in real time, most of the organizations, 99% of the invoices, they come from PO only. So they are PO matched invoices. So to alert or create a restriction on that activities, just less number of invoice should be created manually. You can use this hold unmatched invoice. For example, I just enable this option, okay, and save and close. If I'm going to create invoice, data invoice. So if everything is good here for this invoice, only thing is that we are directly create an invoice. So usually I'm expecting a hold here because I enable that checkbox. Let us see. Need revalidation. That means if you click on this, okay, you are getting a system hold here. The invoice is not matched with PO. Okay. So either what you can do, if you don't have any PO to match to this invoice, then you have to disable that option. Otherwise, you can manually release that hold. If you know that it's okay, only for this checkbox is only for invoices which are coming from PO. So occasionally when you are creating a manual invoice, so we have to release this, or you can create a workflow also, right? There is a BPM workflow, approval workflow for hold release. That also you can use and create a approval process. Like any invoice which is not matched to PO, that should be auto approved. It should release from hold. Okay, so now I'll just release the hold. Okay.
Also, Shrini, can we have different hold reasons, or is there only one reason that we can?
No,
hold?
different hold region. You can supplier hold, payment hold. So based on company requirement, you can create holds, and if this transaction which satisfying the hold region, it's not, then it will be on hold, like user defined hold.
Okay.
This
but the
this
user
is
has to go and put in the hold manually then, right?
Right.
Okay.
User can also create hold manually. But this one is system hold. So hold released, save and close. Some other hold it will, like for example, you created one PO. We'll see in next session. You have three-way matches implemented. Okay, three-way match. So that invoice, it should compare with the receipt quantity. So supplier has sent the invoice of 10 quantity, and receipt has been created for 5. Then if you have enabled three-way match, it will create a receipt variance hold. Like PO invoice quantity is not matching with the receipt quantity. So this kind of holds are system hold. You cannot release this manually. What you have to do, you have to go to the receipt and contact the receipt department. Those people are handling supplier shipment. So you have to confirm with the department that yeah, we have received all the 10 quantity which the supplier sent the invoice, against which the supplier sent the invoice. So once the receipt, we have received the complete quantity, the hold will be released automatically. Once you again validate the invoice, hold will be released automatically. Okay, what again happened to the system?